Your first challenge is to improve GPU performance in City Skylines with a click of one button. Boom. There it is. Turn off show fog. When you're in the map editor, you don't need this fog. It just kills your GPU and there's no purpose for it. Get rid of it. Okay, challenge number 2. This is the one you came in for. Create a beautifully detailed forest area with loads of diversity and do it as quickly as possible on as large an area as possible. On your mark, get set, go. Okay. I get the forest brush. I have the live oak brush. I'm from Texas. I love live oaks. Yay. Ooh, Pacific rhododendrons. Get some of those in. Yay, Pacific rhododendrons. Get some more trees. Get some more trees. Ooh, what's this one here? Ooh, a coconut tree. Yeah, I like coconut trees. Ooh, a generic pine tree. I love generic pine trees. Yeah. Ooh, what's this fluffy thing? The jacaranda. Ooh, I love a jacaranda. Okay. Ooh, okay. Oh, man. Oh, I'm so overexcited. Stop the timer. Okay, well, that is definitely diverse. It's kind of weird. I mean, I suppose I could make it work. But that's what I got. It is definitely diverse. And it's definitely done pretty quickly, but it's only on this area. If I want to do this over the entire map, ooh, that's a lot of clicking. Because if I just take the brush and I click and drag, you get these weird areas where your hand naturally just leans on it a little bit more, and these other areas where you naturally lean on it a little less, and it's just, I don't know. You have to like go back over it, and then you click, and then and that's just with that one tree. Now I got to come back with another one. Ooh, I like the boreal pine. Yeah, and then you make an area where it's just too dense, and that's a lot of pine trees amongst the jacarandas. You can make mistakes with this, is what I'm saying. It doesn't scale well. So let's clear all this out and let's use a better tool for painting down a beautiful forested area. Now, I'm in the map editor, but I am loading mods. I guess that's why Chirpy here is on fire. One of the mods that I love to use in map editing is the Forest Brush Revisited mod. The Forest Brush Revisited mod allows me to create beautiful areas with all kinds of trees in them. For example, Cardiff trees. I went and I looked up all the trees that are popular in Cardiff, either because they were imported there or they grew naturally there, found as many as I could in the City Skylines workshop, downloaded the asset, and then built a brush with them. To build a brush with all the 550 trees that I have, I could just type in a search here, like for example, oak, and now I can see, all right, here's all the oak trees that I have available. If I only want to see the ones that I have chosen for the brush, I can click the toggle here between all trees and the brush trees. Now I can see here's all the trees I have in my Cardiff tree area. The different numbers indicate the strength at which those trees will populate relative to each other. Ones that have low numbers will not populate nearly as often as the ones that have a high number. If I set the ash tree to 99, we're going to get a lot of ash trees. Put it back down low around 12, where it was, then we'll get what I had. I have sliders here for choosing how big the area will be. Whoops. One caveat is you got to watch out when you're going off on the edge there. But I can also choose the tree strength. Generally, I like to have it around 25% unless I know I'm going to plaster an area real good with a lot of variety, then I can go to 100. Slope limit will help determine whether or not we put trees on slopes. By default, City Skylines does not like to put trees on slopes, but here you can force them there. So if you have a certain kind of tree brush that goes with a mountainous side, set this to 100% and go to town. Density is also something I like to keep relatively low, like strength, so that way I don't make one click and suddenly fill everything out. There we go. I just made one click there. And if I do a brush, I get less of that artifact, where like if I lean my hand on one area and then drag it around lightly, it's not as noticeable. It still is noticeable. I've got to come back around the sides to paint on it, but it's not as noticeable. Okay, well, let's see what kind of variety I have with just my Cardiff trees. I'll turn off the brush right now so we have a better view. And okay, we've got a lot of variety on height with those squat yew trees and those taller pines and elms and stuff, and this is really nice. But it's also sparse. What if I want to fill in between? Well, again, that's where the strength and density comes in. What if I want to put in some shrubbery? I've got this scrub and shrub here that I like. This one is set to be very strong and very dense. One click, whang, dang, there it is. A couple of clicks and hold, I'll get that. Now when I zoom in, I've got an area where there's lots of low-lying foliage that really sets off the taller foliage. Look at that. That's even more striking contrast. What if I want more color in an area? Oh, well, I have a brush called Nothing But Flowers. Guess what it is? It's nothing but flowers. Ah, ha, 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 ha. Maxed out on everything. Click and hold and drag and okay. You can already start to see those. Oh, wow. It's a meadow. This is beautiful. All the color, all the contrast and heights. Oh, this is great. All right, I kind of went a little ham with the flowers there, but just to make a point. And the best part of this is, with this brush, I can go over the entire map fairly easily and be able to get this level of diversity and beauty without having to go and click on a different tree one at a time. I've got this brush loaded up with all these ready to go. And if I want to switch to a different region of the world, for example, Eastern Tennessee, well, all I have to do is come right over here and lay it down. And I'm putting it next to the Cardiff one so we can get a view about how the different ones look next to each other. Here's Cardiff, and now here's Eastern Tennessee. Did you see that? You see how it went from one kind of tree that we see off in the distance? Come back over here. This is one set of trees we've got. We do see some similar ones over here, but we see some different ones that let us know we're in a different part of the world. What about going from Tennessee now to Texas? Well, here we go. Tell me when you see Texas now and less Tennessee, and yeah, I think we're in Texas now. Way more use of live oak, a lot less tall pine. You can see them in the distance, and you can see the Cardiff ones way off in the distance. But that is the power of this brush. You can create different types of foliage that give your neighborhoods different types of feels to them. It's a beautiful thing. Now, to keep my trees looking good, I want to be able to use the tree control mod. This is running under the hood with what I have loaded here. The forest brush is going to paint everything beautifully, but the tree control mod will make sure that I can have the graphics that I want. When I click on the trees tab, I can set my default tree limit to a very high number if I want. Ooh, haha, 2 million. I usually don't need 2 million. 1 million is fine for me right now. I do want to make sure my trees stay above ground should I ever move the ground underneath them, but I want 0 tree movement and I want distant trees to stop swaying. Why? Well, that's animation that I really don't need. The way they move in the game looks to me like they're in a hurricane and not a gentle breeze, so I don't need the trees to move around. I've turned them off. I've also got my tree LOD detail set to high. Now, LOD is level of detail. That means when we're very close, we're going to load a lot more detail. When we're far away, well, we load a texture that has less detail. Let's take a look at what it looks like on lowest setting. You already saw it change in the background. So here we are on the lowest. The trees look the same up close, but the ones in the distance, they're not as crisp as they used to be. They're kind of blotchy looking. And if I zoom out, you can see these trees just pop, 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 like a little line. And as we zoom in, pop, 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 they all come back. That's on the lowest setting. If we go to the insane setting, I'm going to have some problems with my frame rate. But let's do it anyway. Well, I was around 118 frames per second. Now I'm down to 62. Let's zoom out. And, oh, it drops off bad. Wow, I should stop moving things. But at the same time, you can see some pretty good detail on those trees off in the distance. Let me zoom back in, and I've edited out the 10 seconds it took to do that zoom. We can see great details on those trees in the distance. I would leave it on insane detail for still shots only because your frame rate's going to drop to nothing. For what I want to do most of the time, I'll set my tree LOD detail to high. That's, to me, the right balance for what I want to do. You may differ. Now, even though it is the map editor, I am loading mods and assets, but I'm not going to load all of them. I have this one that I use when I make maps. It's called Trees Only, even though it's not just trees. There's some other non-tree mods in here, but all the assets I do load are just trees. 550 of them. If I'm making a map for somebody else, I'll either need to use the standard vanilla trees or provide a list of the trees that I included so the person loading the map will be able to download them themselves. But for me and my purposes, I just need to know I'm going to use the trees that I have downloaded, and I'm fine with that. The mods that I use when I'm making a map are bare bones. I don't want any mods that are going to actually change the underlying functionality of the game. No mods that change how many sims I have or cars that I have or citizen unit models, and certainly not 81 tiles. But mods that allow me to paint the map in the way I want to do, yes, I am going to use those. So we do see Forest Brush Revisited, we do see Tree Control, and for roads, Network Multi-Tool, Network Anarchy, and Move It. I'll have another video on those later on. Be sure to click like, comment, subscribe, and all that stuff, and hit the bell if you want to be able to see the next video in the series. There's some other ones that are either here for my own benefit, like having a simple clock, and then also ones in order to get everything to work, like Harmony and Skive and Patch Loader mod. But this is it. This is all the mods I need when I'm making a map. To get to that playset, I would go into Skive, Your Playsets, and then hit Load Playset on the Trees Only one. When I'm ready to play a game, I'll click a different playset that goes with that and be able to load that accordingly. Then once I have the current playset loaded, I can go back to the dashboard and load City Skylines. Right now I am playing it, so I'm not going to hit Stop City Skylines. That would be crazy. Well, with only 550 assets, all them great trees, and 11 mods, the load time is pretty short, and it gives me so much fun when I'm making a map. The Forest Brush and Tree Control mods are great for people who want to have precise control over the appearance of their cities and landscapes. For me, I find them an indispensable part of my definitive City Skylines 1 modded experience. Again, I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope this gives you ideas to express your own creativity as you build out your maps or make your cities happen. I hope you'll like, comment, and subscribe. And if you do comment and have a suggestion for a future video, let me know. I'm taking requests. I hope you enjoy the city you live in, and I hope you enjoy the city that you get to build just as much. Until next time, Mr. Dean says, happy city painting.